So in the previous video, we were discussing about default reasoning, a range of common sense knowledge, and sub-symbolism in common sense knowledge as part of the difficulties faced in knowledge representation. And we were looking at default reasoning and have said that it is a changeable reasoning where we'll be considering probable conclusions on general rules which may have exceptions, because we are considering default values there, and it may happen that our assumptions made on some unavailable information may tend to contradict when it is available at a later stage, so that we may have to reverse our conclusions made. So common sense reasoning, which is different from the classical logical reasoning in a way that we can have the liberty to assume some of the information. In classical logic, we have to obey all the instructions or information which are required for making some conclusion, so that additional information which is not part of the information which is required for making conclusions will not affect the additional informations will not affect the conclusions made by us in logical reasoning. But in the case of common sense reasoning, according to our common sense, we can make or predict or assume some of the information which are not available, with the assumption that when it becomes available, it will be like this only. With that assumption, we will be making new conclusions. This may not be true always. It have the probability of getting unmatched. In that case, we may have to revert our conclusion that we have set. So this is the best way we can do in situations in which we have only incomplete information. So we don't have to wait for the information to get completed. We can assume or make assumptions on the unavailable information and make a conclusion. So in that case, it can happen that our normal assumptions turn out to be wrong. So whatever assumptions we have made because of the absence of information may get with a wrong assumption. So new information can show that situation actually is abnormal in some respect. So if our assumptions is wrong, then we may end up with abnormal conclusions. So we may have to change that conclusion made with the availability of the new information which was not available at the time of taking the conclusion. The default reasoning is concerned with the impossibility of listing all the preconditions required for a real world action to have intended effect. So the difficulty faced here is that we cannot list out all the possible actions or conditions that is required for making a decision, because slight changes in the environment will result in different preconditions. For example, this is the football season. So when two people or football fans are talking about a match with each other, then they visualize a large crowd in the stadium, cheering fans, aggression between the players on the field. Likewise, they will be having a visual effect inside their mind while they are speaking about the match, a world level match. The same persons, when they discuss about a charity match being played locally, then they will not be having this much of ambience in their mind. So the situations are different, even though it is a instance of football match. So with the same instance or entity of an object, that is football match, we are having different preconditions. We will not be considering the large crowd, cheering fans, aggression between the players in the case of charity match. So like this is a small example. Likewise, we can have different examples so that the number of preconditions will be very large if we take into consideration all the entities in the world. So recording all these preconditions is a difficult task. The father of AI, John McCarthy, identified these assumptions and termed it as qualification problem. This problem has been termed as qualification problem by father of AI, John McCarthy. So for any common sense rule identified by AI researchers, there exists a considerable portion of exceptions. So there is chance of exceptions in common sense knowledge. This was identified by AI researchers. So this is a difficulty. Then range of common sense knowledge. Common sense is the knowledge that all humans have. Such knowledge is unspoken and unwritten. We take it for granted. None of our common sense is written or recorded in a book. It is not readable from a book. It is attained or acquired by us with the experience we have during the past years. They are neither taught or written. But the breadth and intensity of such knowledge is immense in intelligence. Those who have a high common sense will have great intelligence. So intelligent people will be having common sense. For example, no one has been told that their mother is older than them. It's a basic fact which we have acquired during our hours. All our mothers are elder than us. So we acquire a great number of such knowledge from our experience. Such small knowledge will be taken into our knowledge base with our experience. We will not read it from anywhere. We will not record it anywhere. But it will be in our sense of mind. Such knowledge are used while we are applying common sense. All systems don't have common sense knowledge, and acquiring them is a costly task, which is considered as an issue to be dealt with. So in the computer system, we have to store such information as well, such knowledge as well. So it is a complicated task or a Herculean task. So range of common sense knowledge is very vast. So recording such knowledge which are not being recorded or written in human case, which has to be done in the case of machines. So this is a costly task. This is the second problem for knowledge representation. And subsymbolism in common sense knowledge is the third one. Facts or statements do not always make up what people know and could actually say out loud. Practice or experience is the factor. As we have said in the earlier slide, we are not taught about the basic knowledge of something or common sense knowledge. It is acquired by practice or experience, and based on that experience only, people say something about something. So these are insights represented in the brain at the subconscious and subsymbolic level. So by way of experience, we will be acting on some situations, which is called as action by common sense, and it is not taught or forced by anyone else. It is from the subconscious level of human being. Such a leveling is not possible in the case of machines. For example, Vishwanathan Anand, a chess player which is India's pride in world chess, might avoid a certain chess position because it is too exposed. By the way of his experience in the field of chess game, he will not accept some situation in which all of his coins are exposed, even though others may feel that that move is taking him to a victory. But he knows that with that coin position, he will not be able to proceed further. It's based on his experience. Similarly, a museum curator or a museum custodian may take a look at a coin collection and realize it as a fake one. A museum curator or a museum coordinator can identify a fake coin so easily than other normal persons, because he has been working with it for a long period of years. So he is accomplished with the fakeness of the coin. So this is due to his experience in the field of coin storage. So they are called as sub-symbolism. And this type of experience application is not available in the case of machines. So these are the three areas where we face difficulties in knowledge representation. What were they? One was default reasoning, the other was range of common sense knowledge, and the final one was sub-symbolism in common sense knowledge. When we compare data and knowledge, knowledge has got meaning, or data with meaning can be considered as a knowledge if it is matching with a situation. So knowledge is more than data or information. Data is raw facts derived by discovering and gathering of raw information and researching on that information. We may have to do or process, make some processes or do some processes on raw data to convert it into information and then regroup or organize these information into another form which is called as knowledge. So when we give meaning to data or information which is required for a problem, then it becomes knowledge for that problem. This data is converted into information by organizing it such that it can be used to draw conclusion. The organization of the data or meaning of the information can be set as knowledge if it is helpful for making some conclusions. For example, a scientist is working on a disease-causing organism using both knowledge and data. Let us assume that a scientist is working on a disease-causing organism using knowledge and data. Here data is the organism's record. It may have the history of the organism, response to certain drugs while treatment, and the treating system. All these are data which are recorded. He has to go through those data as well. The knowledge in this case is what the scientist has gathered during the past years. What he learned as a student, what he learned during his internship, his knowledge during his specialization and practice, all these contribute to the knowledge in this field. So data and knowledge are different, even though both are required for processing in this area.